Kalimera.
Kalimera, good morning. My name is Athenios.
And I'm Neophitos.
And we're the founders and directors of the Athenian.
I came to London, to the UK when I was 19 to study, and I've been here for the last 14 years.
And I also came in 2002, first in Edinburgh, Scotland, and then later in London. And so it's been a pretty, almost half of our lives we've been in the UK.
Yeah.
And I think that gave us a better understanding when the time came and we wanted to introduce the Athenian and our core product. It gave us a much better understanding of how to present the product in a way that it would stand out of other offerings, and they would trigger curiosity in people to come and try it. So we started at the end of 2014 as a small street food venture in North London, once a week, every Sunday. And quickly after that, we got a spot on Brick Lane Market, on the Brick Lane Sunday Market. And that was when I met Neophitos.
Who I was running another street food stall in Lukumades down the road. I'll come back to that in a bit.
And I spotted him on Twitter, and I saw that they were doing Greek donuts, which we call Lukumades. And I got in touch and I said, would you be interested in maybe doing a pop-up together so we can combine souvlaki and the Greek donuts together. So we got to know each other a little bit better, and then slowly we kind of integrated the whole project into one, and we were only doing souvlaki very shortly after that. And during 2015 we kind of doubled up, so we were doing two markets on the same day, and we started doing Shoreditch next to Boxpark, then Fenchurch Street, then the City in Bank, and so on.
Bear in mind that we had to store everything in our flat, so we had to do 100 plus kilos of tzatziki and rogafteri every Monday. We had to run festivals to raise money for new ventures. And then we've got another market in the city. We were doing like a courier delivery every day to the third market. So it was a painful year to start with.
It was pretty painful.
We gave it pretty much everything, 100%. And then in March 2016, we opened our first permanent location in Elephant and Castle. It was a container setup, set at Boxpark, which is kind of our storage and our first permanent presence. And then since then,
And then slowly from there, we started to kind of go through a transition where we would open the first shipping container in Elephant and Castle, then the second one in Boxpark Shoreditch, and slowly we were moving away from the street food presence, which was basically just street food before, to more permanent locations. And we got to where we are today, where we have 5 permanent locations plus South Bank Food Market on weekends in London and Bristol.
And just to go back a little bit, I guess why we started this. I think we both have the same vision. I mean, as we said earlier, we started like a different start point essentially. But it was kind of 2014 when the food revolution was happening in London with the street food, like Deliveroo and everything. And for me particularly, you could see all the other offerings, like a burrito was growing, like the burger joints, Italian food, and I was like, why can't we not get Greek food in central London? Like, why can't we get the souvlaki? You could find some of the tavernas or like a bit of old school kind of setups with outdated menus, kind of further out in London, like in the outskirts, like zone 2 or 3 and further out. And that's when actually Backling Cook, I was in the Kumades, and I actually spotted Tim, and it was kind of timing worked really well. And I think Tim had a similar kind of vision thing.
Yeah, very similar. We wanted to introduce something new to the local communities of London when we started, and that was to bring souvlaki exactly the same way that it's made in Athens. There were Greek food offerings before that, but generally they were pretty outdated and very stereotypical. And what we wanted to do was literally, like the name suggests, the Athenian, a place as if you were to walk in Athens which is current, it's modern, it's minimal, it doesn't scream Greece, and it just happens to have really good food that knows where its roots come from. That's how the whole concept kind of came together. The inspiration started in the mountain village of Vamos on the island of Crete, where I visited in 2013, and I met a local lady there, and we cooked together. And we cooked outside. It was a really beautiful sunny day, and we had vegetables from the garden, and it was just such a nice experience that I thought, this is what we need in London. This is what we need to bring and replicate that amazing experience to do justice for Greek food, because I felt that Greek food up to that point was being in a way misrepresented, and it wasn't getting the attention that it deserved.
Also, was both image about Greece at the time, the recession, all the bad news coming out, and kind of wanted to focus a little bit of like a brighter picture of Greece.
Yeah, we wanted to put Greece and Athens in particular in a very positive light, because during 2012, 13, 14, the country was being portrayed in the media in a rather negative image, and we really wanted to put something positive to show that there is hope, there are ideas, there is originality. When we first introduced the Athenian and our souvlaki, we found that the reaction from people was overwhelmingly positive, and people genuinely were curious to try it, and when they tried it, they loved it, and we were really pleasantly surprised about that. Every location that we launched our street food brand in the early stages, we would initially completely sell out. And then in the summer of 2015, when we started doing festivals, from like food festivals to music festivals and so on, we would always be the ones with the longest queue, and generally the most popular street food stall in those locations, which was hugely rewarding, and people would come back and say thank you, the food was amazing, and it was a kind of reward that we had never experienced before. So it was a really beautiful sort of emotion to receive this kind of gratification from the people that had tried the food.
Exactly. Even in the city, I remember a few incidents of Venture Street that when we're going to turn on the grill, and then we're going to start grilling the meat and put some more Greek oregano in time, and then people come at 10:30, like, what time is it going to be ready? And people came back and said that was the best wrap I ever had. And I think people could see how genuine we are about the product and how much we care, and we want to actually, we did it because we wanted to have the real thing in London and couldn't find it the way we wanted, and I think this is paying off, and people appreciate that.
We import all of our core ingredients directly from Greece, from small independent producers, so that we can make sure that the end product is as authentic as it would be in Athens. We have our own recipes since the beginning. We make our own sauces. For example, the tzatziki is made to my mom's recipe. Then we have our very own signature sauce, our Athenian sauce. And then we have the classic tirokaftheri, which is a spicy feta dip, but with a little bit of our own spin-off because we put red pepper in it. And we're constantly looking at new ways to develop our menu. We're monitoring the current food trends and how the market is changing constantly, and that's always influencing the ideas and how we're going to develop the menu further.
Going back a bit to the audience, when we first started, we were overwhelmed by the Cypriot and Greek community in London. They were big fans. As we managed to scale essentially and be more locations, we could say our audience is quite mixed. We still get a lot of Greeks, but also local communities has embraced our product quite well. And it goes back to educating a little bit about what is Greek, because sometimes, as we mentioned before, there's a misconception about what's Greek, like hummus or falafel, all these, and which we get asked sometimes, and it's kind of sticking to the authentic Greek recipes and dishes.
Yeah, there has been and there continues to be a little bit of confusion between Greek food and neighboring cuisines around Greece, and we're really trying hard to communicate the product with its Greek names, even though sometimes it can be a little bit difficult. and introduce dishes that people didn't traditionally know. For example, things that are very well known in the UK is halloumi cheese, feta cheese, and tara mosalata, things that you could easily have access to in supermarkets, in big supermarkets in the UK. But even bringing the name souvlaki, when we first started, people didn't really understand what it was. They didn't know what it was. They hadn't heard of that name before unless they had visited Greece. But that was an opportunity for us to explain what it was. Even though the majority of people didn't really know what it was, it didn't stop them from wanting to try it. And it kind of fell in the category of familiar ingredients, but exciting because they hadn't tried it before. So it was a good mix to introduce the product. Even up to now, 3 years after we've started, it's not like souvlaki has become the equivalent of pizza in the UK, that everybody knows what it is, everyone understands. It's a little bit better than what it used to be, but we still have to work to communicate what the product is and how it is consumed back home, how people eat it, and so on.
Put on the map and be this alternative. I mean, I guess the dream would be as people start saying I'm going for souvlaki, it becomes synonym to pizza or a burger at some point.